Hey University family, this is Chris Roberts, and I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. The purpose of this video is to let others know what all is going on within the University Church of Christ student ministry. This could be that you were not there for the parent meeting and just missed the information altogether. Maybe you were there but either did not needed a refresher or weren't able to sign up for anything, or maybe you're new to the area and you want to know what all is our student ministry, what all is going on here. And so below on this page is kind of acting as a landing page for sign-ups and things like that. And so some of this information may be a little bit dated by the time you've seen this, based on if I'm asking for help or letting you know those things. But if I need help with anything, I'll have a form on this page for you to sign up for. But if there's anything that I talk about that you would be more interested in, please feel free to email me. I'll have my contact at the end of this video. So one of the themes for this year is going to be on being the church. And our verse is coming from Matthew 16. So Jesus, he's talking with the disciples and he's asking them, okay, I've been doing this long enough. Who do people say that I am? And they reply back to him and they say, well, some say you're John the Baptist. Some say you're Elijah or some other prophet. And he says, okay, who do you say that I am? And Peter, he says, you're Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus comes back with him and says, Simon, son of Jonah, blessed are you, for on this rock I will build my church. And so you'll see this logo for the student ministry that I had created and that depicts this: on this rock I will build my church. And I do not view this as my student ministry. I view it as my I'm a shepherd of this ministry. I hope that I do a good job with it. But ultimately, I hope that we realize that this is Jesus' church and that we are building upon that. And that foundation that we are building upon is the confession that he is in fact the Son of God. And so our classes are going to be dealing with that in the winter. Whenever we do our scriptural study on Sunday mornings, we're going to go through the book of Acts. And then other classes just focusing on being the church in some aspect. If you would be interested in teaching, whether it's filling in or taking over an entire quarter for junior high or high school, please let me know. I'd love to talk to you about that. Wednesday nights is a really special thing for us. We call it huddles, and it's almost exactly what it sounds like. So for 30 minutes we get together and we worship. And this year I want to be more intentional with our worship whenever we come together and kind of focus on our attitudes during worship. In the Old Testament and the New Testament, you see examples of people coming to God in fear and in terror. It seems like the first encounter is always them falling down at their feet. And then on the other side of it, you have jubilation, you have celebration. And I want to be able to show the students that you need both to properly worship God. If you focus too much on one, if you focus too much on fear and terror, then you forget that we serve a God that's joyful, that there's joy in worshiping our God, that there's joy in our life. But if you focus too much on the joy and celebration, then it's possible that you may forget that we serve a God that's worthy of reverence, that's worthy of honor. And maybe it comes into a social club. And so I want to show the students both aspects of those things. Then afterwards, for about 30 minutes, we break them into groups of about 10 to 15, depending on the size. And we're going to focus really the basics of who is God, who is Jesus, who is the Holy Spirit. And even though I say basics, I think it can get deep pretty quickly. But I believe, it's my hope that worship molds us into our image of God. And if that's the case, then we need to make sure that we think about God correctly. And that's what I would hope that through these discussions that we're able to do. One of the things we're going to do differently this year is at 6 o'clock, an hour before services, we're going to kind of have a study hour. We're going to open this up to the entire church. And so if you have first graders, second graders, fifth graders that have homework, that have schoolwork, to send them up to the FAC and for us to do homework together. It'll be a time for the high schoolers to interact with them. I will be there, and I hope that it's a cool thing that we start doing. One of our ministries, talking about some of the individual things that we do, is Monday lunch. And this is probably one of the better received ministries that we are a part of within the community. And so if you have a junior or senior going to Canyon High School on Mondays, we invite them to come out to our church and have a meal. It's Darlene Barrington is the lady in charge, and she creates a great meal every week for these students. We feed about 125 every week. And so if you are available on Monday mornings to help out with that, we'd love to have you be a part of that. And so it's really cool. For some of these students, this may be their only association with the church is through these lunches. And so I invite you to be a part of that if you're able to. Another thing we have for the high school is Monday Night Devo. It's exactly what it sounds like. At 8 o'clock on Monday nights, we meet in people's homes. People within the congregation host. And this is a really neat opportunity for the students to kind of take ownership of their ministry, to invite friends. We have about 30 minutes where we just kind of talk and kind of catch up on how everyone's day has gone. And then one of the guys leads a devotional. We have some singing, and so it's really neat to see these guys, how they approach Scripture, how they see that it deals with their own life, and it's a great skill to have for whenever they go to college or whenever they're adults and they're asked to teach class. They already have some experience doing that, and so if you would like to host, we would love to have you host us some Monday night. One thing we're bringing back this year, we haven't done in a few years, is a deal for the 5th and 6th grade. This is once a month, basically the first Wednesday of every month. I haven't decided on a name yet. Right now I have a 5th and 6th grade hangout that may stay there. But essentially it's going to be at 4 o'clock at the FAC. We're going to have games and a devotional. And at 5 o'clock we're going to have a meal. And then after the meal we're going to have like a study hour / hangout time, and basically just keep them until worship. We will provide transportation. I'll have a van to go pick them up. But if you need that, I have to have your approval before I take a kid with me back to the church. And so just make sure that I have that. But you're more than welcome to take them on your own if you so choose. If you have been a part of this in the past or with another congregation, I'd love to get your input as far as what do those games, what do some of those devotionals look like? How can we use this time with these kids while we have them? September 6th, we're having a tailgate party, and we have, with High Plains Children's Home, they're going to be teaming up with us again. This is the Canyon Randall game, and it'll be at 6 o'clock south side of the Kimbrough parking lot. And so it's always a great burger, great hot dog. Come at 6 o'clock to bring your family, bring your friends, and just hang out with those a little bit before we go in and watch the game together. Our Girls Conference, High Plains Girls Conference, is something that we've done for a few years, and it used to be done in the spring, but that schedule just got so crazy, so we decided to move it to the fall. And we're needing lots of help with that. And so Tori Cox and Monty Robinson are really the ladies in charge, but you're more than welcome to contact me as well if you have things that you can help out with. And the theme this year is So Will I. It comes from a song, you may have heard it on the radio. It has the lyrics of, if the stars were made to worship, then so will I. It's one of my favorite songs. I highly recommend that you look it up. I think it's actually called 100 Billion is the name of the song. But that's going to be the theme for this year. And I'm excited. I've already gotten lots of questions from other churches of when are we having it. It's September 21st and 22nd. And so I know that they need lots of help with housing, with setting up or tearing down, or with meals. Like I said, there'll be a sign up below for those things. And then LTC, Leadership Training for Christ. Brian and Susan Hackett are taking over that for this year. The theme for this year, or the book that they're studying, is 2 Samuel. And this is really a great, they learn a lot of Bible through this. And there's a lot of opportunities for service through this, whether it's through puppets, through choir. There's a lot of things that we're doing this year that we haven't done in the past that don't require you to go to convention. We understand that that's kind of an expensive trip, but there's some poetry, some writings, art, things like that that can be done here. And so if you would be willing to read some of those stories and give feedback, we'd love to have you paired up with some of our teams to help them in that way. And so as for now, that pretty much sums up what we have. My contact information is here on the screen. I highly encourage you, if you ever have a question, please reach out to me, whether through my email or give me a call or a text. I encourage you to follow us on Twitter at UCC_SM. That has changed from what we had in the past because there's been some confusion. But if you are already following, it's switched you over. But this will make it easier going forward. And as things will be added to the calendar, and I'll use Twitter to get that information out. But thank you for watching this video. Have a great day.